Okay, welcome to Panakal Podcast for Geeks, a show about good friends hanging out, talking about things we all love. I panicked for a second because I didn't do an audio test, so let's just see. You guys know my co-host, Andrew Sides. Andrew, say something.
Hello.
Yeah, you're fine.
How are we doing?
Julie, say something.
Well, right now it's getting to be spring, so the pie of choice is usually a cream-based pie because it's not quite spring yet.
Oh, are you a lime pie or a key lime pie type of
I am a
person?
seasonal pie eater, depending on the
Okay.
season, because we are past the full winter pies. I don't know why the rule is the way it is. So yes, key lime is one of the ones right now because usually this is like when you go to Florida because it's cold and miserable.
Key lime is my favorite, if you can find a good key lime pie. Yeah, what do you got against key lime pie, man? Well, you live in Florida. It's probably readily available.
It's mainly that. I've never been a huge key lime person. I like hearty fruit pies, like apple and
my favorite is blueberry, but blueberry is late July, early August.
I mean, like, I get that. Like, if it's fall, I want a pumpkin pie.
So
yeah.
What do you get in summer? Apple?
Yeah, what is a summer pie? No, the apple.
Cobbler.
Well, you go from
summer is like a peach,
like strawberry to peach, and then you have your blueberries. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
And then into apple.
Wait, when do you eat apple?
I do it earlier. It's more of an early fall into late fall.
That's like pure fall.
Yeah.
So what do you eat in spring?
That's like strawberry. Right?
Strawberry. This is a very interesting pie talk. I wish I had some pie.
Literally, this is my mic check conversation as always.
I don't have any.
Now, okay, so in terms of strawberry pie, are you a strawberry pie person or strawberry galette?
What the hell is a galette?
More of a strawberry. It's the more sweet, like syrupy.
Oh, okay, sure.
And it's not really like in a pie shell. It's kind of like, well, I guess it can. I guess it can be, can it?
So I am not. The texture is not my thing. I am not as adverse as I think some people.
Like you don't like the chunks being in there?
No, I don't like the. So it's weird because
it's like
it's the same, almost like a tapioca pudding situation.
Oh, right, I got you.
There's creamy and there's bits, and that's off-putting for a lot of people. I'm not as bad as I know some, but also because that syrup part is super, super, super sweet, and I'd rather just have the fruit.
Yeah, like when you like a peach cobbler, I want the chunks.
Yeah,
of peach. By the way, this is Julie Ahern. I didn't even introduce my guest. So
yeah, we just jumped right into pies.
Right into pie talk. So welcome to the show.
Welcome to Panakal Pie Podcast.
Yeah, we should do. I mean, I feel like we could. Like I was talking to, like I feel like this is what I'm talking about. We always jump into like random things and we talk about them for minutes. We totally could, and that's what makes this show work, I guess. Now I want pie. So Julie used to live here in Chicago. So there's Baker Square that used to be here. There's only one in the area now, as far as I can tell, and it's my sister-in-law lives near it. But there's like Baker Square was where I used to always get pies with my friends late nights after we do whatever we were doing. There's nothing. There's not even like there's a bakery down the street from us, but they don't make pies. They make just every other pastry you can think of. And I'm just like,
right, okay.
How about a pie?
Yes, in general. Oh, well, and also since I've moved away from Chicago, Dinkle's Bakery is closed down, which is a tragedy. Because I used to live around the corner from there. It was the oldest bakery in Chicago. Every morning at 6 a.m., the smell of baked goods would come wafting down the street.
Was it COVID related?
I'm sure. I think that probably is what. It was really like. I think
it was old. That's been there forever.
Struggle for them to keep going, but it's all German pastries.
Yeah.
So you had your klatschis. I can't pronounce it.
Klatschis are the best. There's a the place here makes you get the klatschis that are like folded, right? The little bow ties or whatever.
Yeah.
And the bakery here sells them. They're like giant round discs.
There's two, because I think some are German and some are Polish. Like there's two different.
I think the Polish ones are the ones that are folded, and German ones are the ones that are open. And I've never seen the open ones before until I started going to the bakery here. Like I walked in there and she's like, "Do you want to try the klatschis?" And I'm looking and I'm like, "I don't see any." And then she's like, "These, they're delicious." Okay, but you know, I don't know. I think the folded ones have like, you know, when you put a little flour on them and stuff, they last like a week at least, right? These
Right.
big, the open ones, the whatever you know, whatever. Let's say it's raspberries, it becomes like gelatinous after a couple days,
Because
and you're
it's
like,
more exposed to the air. I see what
yeah,
you're
and
saying.
you're just
Like it
like,
doesn't
I
have
don't want
that
to eat this anymore.
flaky pastry
Yeah,
protection.
yeah. The extra barrier that kept the air out is gone, and then like, cause I had one in the late night, I decided to eat it, and it was just like, it literally felt like a Jello mold was on top of it, but I didn't realize it until I
Yeah.
took a bite, and I was like, oh, you know, and now I want pastries because we keep talking about pastries.
I'm regretting nothing.
So,
That's fine.
so besides pies and pastries, Julie,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Um, so many things. But for work, I am currently the senior director of operations for Van Ryder Games.
Oh,
And
okay.
so mostly now I project manage and work on, um, logistics stuff.
Right, just making sure everything's actually moving along as they claim they are.
Yeah, like you do.
Like you do. You used to, but I think when I met you, you were an AD for Greenbrier, right?
Correct. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So I met Julie years ago at Walker Stalker, which is a horrible convention, unless you're like
Wha-
it was a Walking Dead convention. It was the remember I
Okay.
told you the
I was
year I
gonna
did
say this
like
sounds like a Walking Dead convention just
it
by
was
the
a
name
year
alone.
where I
What?
basically was working. I got my company decided to let us all work from home, and it was a whole year of me working from home. So in that year, I decided I'm going to do. I think I did 21 shows, and it was just basically let's just see which shows work, which shows don't work. Walker Soccer
Right.
happened to be here in Chicago, and the show was horrible. The best thing that came out of that is I became friends with Julie because everything else sucked about that show. You know, I made my table back barely, and then I remember thinking, well, this is
Because
whatever.
everybody, well, so they had so many booths, like almost, and it was kind of scattershot. It was like
They just let everybody in, right?
t-shirts, anybody who was in horror,
Yeah,
anybody like, so there are all these people, so that you had all these booths who were trying to sell things, but everybody was saving their money to go because you paid to take pictures with and meet the actors
right.
This
from the show.
sounds suspiciously like my horror convention that I went to. Alan, you know what I'm talking about,
Oh
Spooky
yeah,
Con.
yeah.
Sounds exactly like where it's like, yeah, weird scattershot. Like anyone that was doing any kind of horror adjacent thing was there, but everyone
Right.
was there either for mainly tattoos or like celebrities.
Right.
So they were like,
Right.
"Yeah, we don't want to spend money on you. We're trying to wait up for this person."
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So like
And
Walker Stalker was the same way, huh?
it was just so it's like if you didn't have anything, like I had one Walking Dead piece, so that sold out immediately, and it was when I
Okay.
was still doing fan art, right? So like slowly it turned into a thing where people were like, "Oh, this is what he's got. I'll just buy something," you know. But I made my booth back, and then after that, I was just like, whatever. And I forget how we connected again after that. I think we met up to play board games at Guthrie's, maybe it was.
Oh, we
And
definitely did that, but I think we were at a second convention
yeah, we were
further
at
away.
something together.
And we weren't next to each other anymore, but I recognized you. I was like, we
That
had a
guy's
great
cool.
time. Right. That guy and I had a great time talking smack.
And then we're in the same city too, right? So yeah, we were
Right.
talking smack, which we
Right.
do.
And then, yes. And then we met at Guthrie's to play board games.
So
And
that's
then
cool.
we would
And
meet for ramen.
oh man, I missed that spot. There was a spot right on the corner by my
I'm sorry, I'm
condo.
not trying to circle it back to food, but we have had some really good. I mean, it's Chicago. It's
That
kind of the
place
thing.
Yeah.
had really good
So
sushi and ramen. That was so. There's a spot next to the condo where I could literally walk to the corner and just buy the food and leave. But I was so lazy when I was
That's
home.
dangerous.
I would just have them deliver it. I'd just be like,
Oh,
just please
amazing.
bring
Alan,
it, please.
really?
I paid the $3 for them to just bring it up to me. Yeah, man, I didn't want to
Oh
leave the
my
condo.
God.
That was like my secret bat cave. Like anytime Nancy would leave the house, I would just be like, I'm gonna sit right here and order food, and it would be, or Julie and I would just meet up and grab some ramen and sushi. But
Mm.
yeah. But then I also like I did some work for you on the Helios game. I remember that was
Yep, Helios
so
did
you were the
too.
first time you were technically the first like board game AD that I did anything for because after that I did a big game for Renegade basically.
Right.
And
Right.
Renegade was chill. And I have another game coming up, which you know about, for next year. Oh, wait, this year at Gen Con. Hopefully.
Which is awesome.
We'll see if they still use my
We'll
stuff.
see.
I mean, they paid me for it, so I hope they're going to use it. But I'm just going to go down the line of questions here, so I've been kind of asking the same kind of questions to each AD. So like the first question was how you became an art director, basically, like how you got into your line of work, basically.
Right. So for me, it was a little bit different because most board game companies are small businesses. There's very few. You have your fascinating, like, Prospero Hall just got bought out by Goliath. And so you have, and Spin Master and Funko, like, you have some of the bigger corporate that have their own games division. But
Funko just got bought out too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of their designers just announced that they were starting their own game.
I saw that
studio, but none of that has to do with me. So I'm sorry. It's
it's fine.
It's been a full day, so I'm a little bit squirrel. So I started on the design end of things. I designed games, and we started a company, just three of us, Greenbrier Games, and we had Ricky initially was our artist, so he by de facto became the art director. But he wanted to get into video games, so we had him very short period of time, and then he was like, "Okay, I have enough experience, and somebody offered me a job." Bye. And that was totally fair.
Yeah.
So it was something that I took on initially because I had many friends who are artists growing up. I had taken art classes, and I was like, and frankly, the other two people in the company there was a lot of understanding of what art is and what catches the eye and the golden ratio. Like, nothing. They didn't get any of it. They were a engineer and a computer tech guy.
Strictly like mechanics type people.
I like that you said the golden ratio, because the amount of people that don't even at least try to use that, it will help a ton if you're designing. But
I get, like, so it wasn't their wheelhouse, and they knew it wasn't their wheelhouse, so they were like, "Oh, Julie." And I was happy to do it. So that's for the art direction piece of it, and also project management in general. It started with, well, we're making a game and we decided to be a company, so everybody has to take jobs. I don't necessarily recommend that for most game designers at all. I strongly don't recommend that. But it turned out I really like publishing. I really enjoy the process of it. And I shouldn't be surprised, before that I was a stage manager. So the creative and organization of creatives, like, together, has always been just where I live. So it made sense. And there's a lot of skill sets that are not necessarily about communication orientation in being an art director. And so I very much enjoyed that. I enjoyed being creative adjacent in a lot of ways while still understanding the creative process, because I'm also a designer. So that's kind of where it started, and nobody stopped me. So I just kept going.
You just kept doing it.
Yeah.
I remember you had Folklore, right? That was your main.
Folklore was, for Greenbrier. So we The Apocalypse was our first game. So I was that zombie girl for 2 years when I first started.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
And you had Engel, right? You worked with Jason Engel on there, right?
I did, in Folklore, yes. He did.
That's how I think that's how I met Engel, if I'm looking him up in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I had no idea. That's awesome.
I was trying to, Jason and I are really good friends now, but I'm just trying to remember how, like, we started communicating. And I think I saw the game, I looked up his work, and I can't remember. I've known Jason for so long now. I believe I just pinged him on Facebook just to be like, I really like what you've done here. And then we just started talking. And then he was at Dragon Con. He's in the booth right next to the Argyles, who I'm friends with. who I met years before that, and him and I just started talking, and then we just became friends. And then now he's like he's actually writing the forward for book 2 for the Ancient Ones, because he's given me
and
tons of.
He's so nice.
He's like, if you ask him like a base level question for something, he will give you like a book's worth of info.
Yes, yeah, he does.
Right? He never just says like 1 or 2 sentences on how to handle it. He's just like, here's all this. It's not like bullshit, right? It's all like legit, like, oh man, that's good, you know?
And he also picks up on such subtleties, like, so having a conversation with him about a character and just the nuance of how I was saying words, not even what I was saying. I would see it reflected in a piece.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. So he did the characters, all the monsters that you fight and all of the heroes that you can play. He did all the character art for all of it.
Yeah, he's helped me with like let's think. He helped me with my Bogdio, who's a giant tiger god with his sword leaning on his back. He's the one who gave me advice on how to like draw. He's the one who gave me advice to draw the giant serpent in there. Bogdio was initially just like standing on a rock or something. He's like, what if he what if he was fighting something? And I was like, he is fighting something in the story. I just didn't want to draw it. Like it was another thing.
Oh, Alan, you gotta draw it.
I know. He's given me advice over the years, especially business wise. He's very smart. So he's like a rock star though. If you see him at Gen Con, you should come hang out at the booth one day at Gen Con and see how he just walks in whenever the fuck he wants.
It's a hoot.
Yeah. So but yeah, so like okay, so yeah, I remember we had Folklore, and then I remember you had Greenbrier, and then you just moved up the ranks there. So I guess my next question on the list of questions is just basically like, can you break down the process of like from ideation of the game, for example, to filling in the different roles to like how you get it to publishing? Because some of the stuff nowadays, I don't remember if you kickstarted always or if that's Folklore was kickstarted.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm gonna do a really high level overview because there's a lot to it, and
I don't think people like understand all
like nitty gritty.
Yeah,
and if you are ever interested, for basically throughout COVID, I did an entire series of from start to finish how to publish advice for new publishers, how to publish more game. I did a podcast called You're Invited.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
So
how did I miss this?
Well,
wait,
I mean, it's literally was for like other publishers to watch. It's not really for but there's a lot of, I still think a lot of really good tips of at least where to get started if you are interested in publishing games. But so you have an idea in your brain, and you decide you're gonna, contact a manufacturer and make it a reality. That's just the first point that you should really sit down and ask yourself, is this what I want to do?
Right.
Because as a creative, it's a lot, it's so much more business than it is creative in so many aspects. Right. But okay, high level. You have a game design, and maybe it's in your head, maybe you've written it down on a PowerPoint, maybe it's just on note cards, but you have an idea and you play it and you get it to the point where it's better than, it needs more than just note cards. And we're going to say you are actually a publisher. You know that you're a publisher, not just a game designer, because I'm not going to get into the should you sell it to publishers or self-publish or whatever. You are a publisher. So at that point is when, yes, you start saying, okay, I need to make it pretty. Now I typically try to wait as long as possible before I get an artist in. One, because I don't want a lot of are you on board, and then there's lag time in communication with them because I'm not actually ready. Mm-hmm. And two, because you're still, once you get a design where you're like, I'm happy with the design, you still have to develop it and say, okay, most of it's done, but when you play it, when other people play it, how many ways can they break it? Mm-hmm. how many ways did it not work the way you thought it was going to work when you were doing it by yourself in your brain, or even by yourself with cards?
So there's still like refinement and
Tons.
iteration
Right.
and all that going on. Yeah.
And if you're, and having done this for a while now, and no longer having any hubris about people telling me how things I did were bad, I can do that quickly, because I can take this is broken, this is wrong, this is terrible, get rid of that, make this better, and do it quickly, so that it gets to a point where we're like, okay, this is coming together now. And that's when, like, maybe I'll be like, hey, heads up, I'm thinking about in a month, I'm going to be wanting to start working on a project. What's your availability? Maybe if it's something, like, it depends on, like, so, like, for Jason, yeah, sure, I might contact him while I'm still way up at the beginning. I'm being like, hey, 4 months down the road, how's your calendar, friend? Like, it just depends. But I try to plan that timeline out so that I'm not having somebody be like, hey, you contacted me for June. It's June 13th, in fact.
Where's the project? Yeah.
What's up? So for me, it's about getting it to that point where I'm like, okay, I can give you a list of what I think 90% with 90% accuracy I'm going to want. Box art. I'm going to want, a title treatment. I'm going to want this many cards with this many unique pieces of art, and this many that are going to be doubles. But because this is my budget, and if there's wiggle room in the budget, that's going to be a high priority for making more additional art. Or if I do a Kickstarter and it's a stretch goal, or this much art for the rule book, this much art for the player mats, and I have now itemized that all out, and I have a rough estimate, and I have here's my bare bones. We're doing this on my most rigorous, skimpiest budget, and here's we just went nuts on Kickstarter, for example, or suddenly we realize that the concept is really popular, and even our print runs are going to be higher, or I'm going to section this out, and this is going to be in the core box, but we're going to do expansions, and I know they're going to be successful, so I'm started planning for those, even though, segment it out so that I can budget out what is my art budget. Because for me, I have to pay for art, I have to pay a graphic designer, I have to pay for actually the thing to be physically made, and how much, and the shipping it to people, not just physically from our warehouse to them, but the drayage from the manufacturer to the port, then the getting it from the port onto the ship, then the freight shipping to the countries, of which there are several, because we don't just sell here in the United States, and then from that port to our warehouse. All of those are separate costs in logistics. So I'm paying all of these things. And I also have to pay an artist. So I'm thinking about it in terms of how much money am I budgeting for all of that? Now, this is where a lot of times I think it breaks down, because as I'm thinking of it as a budgeting thing. As an artist, you're a human being. You are not just a cell on my spreadsheet, which is where my brain is at, and where sometimes I think there's a disconnect when you're trying to reach out to an artist who's like, hey, I'm a person, and I have a life, and I have an artistic sensibility. And if you just think about it from those terms, that's where I think sometimes there's a communication challenge. As an art director, it's my job to remember both sides of that. So that is a big piece of it as well. And communicating effectively. This is my budget. I don't know if you can work within that. Let me know. And if your answer is no, I respect that entirely, because you are worth so much more, but this is what I can afford. So what can we do in it? Or tell me to move on. And if I have to move on, I have to move on. And so for me, that's what being an art director really kind of nuts and bolts entails.
Do you usually have like a first, second, third kind of pick lined up in your brain for that? Being like, if this first person passes, here's the next person I would ideally like.
You have to, because otherwise you're now,
I always wonder if it's
I'm
like
waiting because now it's going to take longer because I didn't have
Mhm.
somebody and I have to go look and or asking advice or how is it to work with this. Like I have a top 3 before I start for any project.
Gotcha.
And always probably in the same realm of artistic sensibility. I keep it within the same look, whoever those artists are. But yes, I
I
I
I
do.
f I'm assuming it's rare, but has there ever been an instance where all 3 of your or all your picks were unavailable for one reason or another, and then you're like, "Oh, shit. What do I do now?
For
I have to
me,
scramble."
no,
Yeah.
but I again make sure I give a lot of I typically know and check in with the artists that I work with regularly
Mhm.
to be like, "Hey, y- you've been getting really popular there, friend, and congratulations. So what's your lead time now?"
Right.
Right. That's actually smart, man.
Well before I actually have to ask them. So if your lead time is a year, you're not probably on my top 3 list because I can't plan that efficiently. We're a small business. We have to be more flexible.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's 3 to 6 months, I'm putting it in my calendar so that when I'm like, nope, we're starting to look now. Now I need to say,
Well, we're
okay,
doing it now, yeah.
right.
Right.
I'm gonna
That's
be hitting
cool.
you up in June. How do you feel about that? How do you feel? This is the money as I can offer. This is my wish list. Tell me where we fall. Yes or no? Tell me if you're telling me we could do something, that's fantastic. If you're telling
Right.
me to keep on moving, I'm keeping on moving right now so that I can make sure that I'm ready.
I mean, I like the fact that you know exactly what you can offer up because sometimes the last couple
Well, I
last
think it's a little people get nervous because, well, in general, I think again, this is an industry of creatives for the most part, and a
Mhm.
lot of people in board games are introverts. We need board games to communicate with other people. It attracts a lot of introverted human beings. So there's a lot of fear of conflict that actually leads to actual conflict in my mind. I have no problems being on the blunt side because I'm not being rude and I'm not trying to be dismissive. I'm trying to be upfront. I
Right.
can
Right.
also take the no and not take it to heart. In fact, often because I know I'm offering as a board game person who's got to budget all the other stuff less than typically what video game can offer or even comic books sometimes, that I'm going to often get the no because my budget is not as impressive
Mhm.
as what other people can offer. So it's also so if I can't do that, what can I offer? Flexibility. I'm okay with it taking a longer lead time because you're taking other projects.
Mhm.
Can I offer product? You'll get X number of copies of the game when it comes out. Um, what else can I do that might is what I'm partially thinking.
Mm.
And also consistency. If I'm an effective communicator and I'm consistent and you know, yeah, she's not going to pay as much as if I got a job with a
But
video
it's
game.
guaranteed and smooth sailing with
Right.
you versus someone
And
else,
Right.
yeah.
minimal drama. I'm not going to change my mind 15 times.
And that goes a long way. It really
Yeah,
does.
well, so I know so that's the other thing. If I don't talk to somebody and communicate and sometimes get that no or the, hey, you did this thing and it kind of pissed me off. Like I'm never going to actually learn and I'm never going to be able to, I would have
Right.
never gotten to the point where now I know and I can say this comfortably when I talk to people. And also, I've learned what the workarounds are. If I can only have so much art, how can I maximize that art?
Smart,
But
man.
also have that
It's smart.
conversation with the artist. Hey, is it okay if I use your art this way, this way, this way, and this way? Is that going to bother you? Are we good with that? Right. Do you want to charge just a little bit more so that I can have, since I have minimal art, but maybe I pay a bit more and then I can
Yeah, you
use
can
them
Yeah.
to
use it
maximum
somewhere
effect?
else.
Right.
Yeah, because contracts are hard, man.
Contracts are hard.
I mean,
Yeah.
the last job I did, that contract was robust. It's probably the fattest contract I've ever seen in my life, and I'm glad that my lawyer is super good. So he went through it, and then he called their lawyer, and they went through it together. And I was on the call just on a standby, and the whole time I was thinking, there's no way I'd be able to like negotiate.
Navigate
Like
this.
before we got on the call, my
So
lawyer literally said, "What do
that's
you want from
another,
this?" You know?
again, you're a small business, so like most small businesses get a boilerplate.
Yeah.
They meet with a lawyer and they get a boilerplate.
Mm.
And then something happens where they have a bad experience, which may
Yeah.
be partly their fault, may not. But regardless, they have a bad experience, so then they add more to the contract because they want to protect themselves. And then suddenly, you're in business for 15 years and your contract looks like somebody's buying a house. Like,
Yes. This thing was like 16 pages at least, and I was
Right.
just like, why is this so long? Like, I'm used to
Right.
getting like a 2-pager, right? So I basically told my lawyer, I'm like, I need you. And the thing that's, like I said, he's good. But
Also depends
you
on
have to
how
pay
big the
him.
company is,
It's
whether
a big
IP
company,
is
right?
involved. Like, I
Yeah.
get that.
So I was
Especially
like,
with IPs for
yeah.
major. That's another.
I
Big
imagine
one.
anyone dealing with like
That's
Marvel or
another whole
Disney,
thing.
yeah, as a whole.
We-
Like, what you
I,
would call it, the guys that are doing
I
Lorcana?
can't tell you stories about that. I've signed NDAs, but it's a
Yeah, sure.
lot. It's a lot.
I mean, I got I've got friends that have done work for Disney, but now I don't know if they did anything for Lorcana, but it sounds like their contracts are wild. But I get it because it's Disney.
Right.
They got to protect everything that gets created. But yeah,
Can't
like
protect the mouse anymore.
I mean, you can't protect that dude's in all sorts of weird things now, right? He's in like a
I
horror
know, it's
movie. He's
brutal.
in like
It's
a
so
weird.
dumb.
Well, it's just like I think it's like people that on a quick side note because that's what's about to happen here. I think people did that because why? Because they can do it, right? And it's a level of like they hate Disney so much, and
Forbidden
now it's
fruit. Right.
Well, yeah, I was
Here's
gonna say it's more of a forbidden fruit like subversion thing where
yeah.
it's like
but
you
so
associate Mickey with
I was
that.
just shocked at how quickly that horror movie came out. It was
Which
like
one?
no,
The Winnie the Pooh one or
no. There's
the Mickey Mouse one.
like a Mickey Mouse, like a Steamboat Mickey
oh,
Mouse horror
Really, you're
movie.
right.
not
Literally eight
surprising.
hours after, like
Which
8 hours after
wait,
it was
yeah,
announced.
so they had filmed it. What was interesting was I read somewhere that the people who did the Winnie the Pooh one reached out to them and were like, don't do it. It's not worth it. And of course they'd already filmed it
Mhm.
I filmed it, yeah.
yeah. So I do have Jay Foskett. I don't know if you know Jay. He does a lot
no.
of
Jay. Oh,
he's
I know of him.
so cartoons and he
yeah.
works for Disney. He does a lot of and he's worked for Henson and he very early on made a point that I agree with wholeheartedly. When you're doing stuff like that, you're copying somebody else's art, somebody else well known, like that everybody knows you're copying their art. And the only person really profiting off of it is that original. The only one still profiting off it. Nobody else is going to make a huge profit off of Mickey Mouse. Nobody.
Right.
Disney's only one that it's going to. So now you're doing it, and you're not going to make you're not making a name for yourself. You're making a name for Disney, and you're not really going to make it's not your own thing. Which is why he also has he does work for Disney because it's freelance or contract work, but he also has his own characters and and he spends a lot of time, much more time in his booth and everything promoting his stuff. Well, making him being very honest about Disney pays the bills, but I also
that's like
this is my stuff.
A couple years ago, like DC Comics had put out I'm sure you can Google it and find it, but they put out a whole thing basically saying we don't care if you guys want to make fan art of our stuff and sell it, mainly because, like you said, at the end of the day, all three of us can make Batman work and sell it. But at the end of the day, Batman's still going to keep making money for DC because he's Batman. Like, we're profiting so little off of it, But they made that post because it is right around the time Disney acquired Marvel. Because what was happening was Disney was going through, supposedly, sending lawyers into the Comic Cons and telling Marvel fan artists to
I remember everybody being like, "See anybody?"
Yeah, it wasn't true, but fear is a powerful motivator, right? So they put they planted that little seed. So the whole time you're in there as a Marvel artist, like myself, I was selling fan art at the time. I was like, is someone going to stop me from selling this? But laundry list of reasons why I stopped doing fan art. That was one of them. I was just like, I don't need to get in trouble for this. It's clearly frowned upon now.
Yeah.
But I remember DC made that thing, and I thought that's the way you just said it, Julie, makes 100% more sense because at that time I was like, DC don't give a fuck. They're still making their money, But yeah, exactly. Disney is when they sue people or they make them cease and desist, they're just doing that to make a point. Like at the end of the day, they're still making millions of dollars, so it doesn't matter.
There, there's probably going to be. I mean, it's so new right now, at least like in terms of those, like Winnie the Pooh and Steamboat Willie, Mickey Mouse, that like any kind of reactionary media that's created, like say the horror movies and stuff, or even like, oh Jesus, there's so many Mickey Mouse horror games coming out now. It's absurd, but it's so new that it's kind of that's expected, the reactionary thing. It'll be interesting to see, like say in 50, 60 odd years, if someone takes that and finally does something more creative with it. Right now, it's like the biggest advantage to those things just becoming public domain is now it's like, oh cool, like we don't have to rely on that company now for film preservation. Like we can preserve those things ourselves and make sure, like, shepherd them for the future. And I know that's like something with like
we are the curators of the pop art.
Yeah.
Agreed. Although, so for board game purposes, because yes, there's also now if you want to put Steamboat Willie in your game for
sure, just as an extra character,
you can't use him as a trademark thing, right? Or like any way to like market him to be like, hey, like here's the Steamboat Willie game. Disney can come in and be like, no. We're not doing that.
But so to me, but also even if you were, it was a short video clip. There's not a lot of meat to that for a game. It's a visual. It's not the full.
Who's making a game out of that, man?
It's not the Sorcerer's Apprentice even from Fantasia. There's nothing really substantive to make it a full, interactive experience with other players. As opposed to last year, January, the last of the Sherlock Holmes stories. Finally.
Arthur Conan estate stuck it.
So that to me, those stories are so much richer, like and there are tons of games that have Sherlock Holmes in them, and none of them are doing terribly unless they're truly horrible games. There's a bunch of them, but they're incredibly enjoyable in different ways. But also, it's always the same. Like, it was bizarre. Like, to me, it's always what is it? A Study in Emerald, all over the place.
Right.
That storyline. So like now there's like you can add, and then finally, when you got like recently Irene Adler added to some of them and things like that. So now you can do all of that, which is more
fantastic. Yeah.
I was reading a thing about how. Let me think about it if I can get this right. The people that make so you're talking about Sherlock Holmes, which reminded me of the Lovecraft stuff. Like people that make the Arkham horror games, right? Something like they own the rights. They bought specific rights to Lovecraft stuff, so they own the rights to Arkham horror stuff, I believe.
No, so with that, Julie, you can probably correct me on this if I'm like super wrong. In that case, like it's what they like Lovecraft stuff in general, just because like
it's open.
It's open mainly from neglect. The whole thing's in public domain mainly for neglect. Anything that they've added onto the mythology on their end, that's theirs.
Okay, that's
the same way if I said like I'm making a Call of Cthulhu story, and it stars one Detective Panakal, and then all of a sudden it's like I created Detective Panakal.
No one's gonna listen to that guy.
I own that character. You can't use that character, but you can use Call of Cthulhu because
Ephraim Jebediah Panakal. He is mine now.
Ephraim Jebediah Panakal.
Wow, that name took a stretch. I thought for sure you're gonna say Dave the Diver.
No.
Yeah, but that's a pretty good rule of thumb for any kind of trademark in general. For example, you can have the Eiffel Tower in your art or pictures during the day, but not at night, because the lights to it were added, and those are sold. So things like that. You have
I didn't know that. That's wild.
We're going down a rabbit hole that I've spent way too much time in.
Well, yeah, sure.
Building copyrights are wild, aren't they?
They are. They're amazing. in their complexity, because it's actually depending on where you are, which in our country can be anywhere from 70 years to 100 years, and in other countries it's different time frames, but they're all counted from the death of the architect before they go into. So
we could go down this rabbit
all
hole a
this,
little bit. Like,
let's find something else. Let's find something less
So I have a question for you.
Fraught with
regarding
tedium and angst.
Board games. Bring us back to the board game side.
Yeah.
So I was one of my questions was, do you think so like a lot of people I feel like don't. I've talked to people who they don't think a good illustration on a board game doesn't help sell that game, you know. And so I guess my question, what I wrote down was, do you think a bad illustration on a good board game could tank it? Because I feel like also there's a lot of like word of mouth, right? Like where people are like, I played this game and it's amazing, and you go look at it and it's kind of like, because here's the thing, like when you look at like a book cover, for example, I'll admit I've been one of those people where I look at a book cover, it doesn't catch my attention, I'm not sure I want to read that book, right? And it could be the same way for a video game. And for board games, you know, like I've seen games where I'm just like, it looks cool, I guess, but then where I've seen a game where I'm like, damn, that looks awesome. Like I want to know more about this game. Like it's a good selling point, right? It's like a poster essentially pulling you in. But then like,
so again a more complex.
Yeah, no, I want you to answer however you want to answer.
Okay. First, if you go into Walmart, Meijer, Target, I think Ross, even like there's any major store, Marshalls maybe, and you go look at their board game selection, because they all have one now, which is delightful.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm super happy about it. But the games that they are selling are party games or Cards Against Humanity, you know.
I saw Betrayal at the Target recently, and I thought, it's about time.
Well, okay, but with
very
Target
rare.
being a much more robust one. But there's a big section for family games.
Mm-hmm.
And by family games, I mean close enough to the Monopoly or nostalgia purchase that you're going to get that somebody might give it a try. So your non-board gamer mass market purchases. And every single one of those covers is ugly. They're ugly. They're primary colors. And big, bold. And
it's like to attract the kids mainly, right?
Just painful to look at. But they all look like that. So they have sent a visual cue. Hey, you liked this, you know, and some of them are great. Some of them are really very interesting.
So I asked that.
Just One is a great game, a great starter game, party game. You can play it anywhere, any group of people, online with other people. Like during the pandemic, I played a lot of Just One online. It's ugly. It's not an attractive cover, and it doesn't really explain what it's doing either. But all of them look like that. So therefore, it's sending a visual cue. This is a family-friendly party game.
This is what to expect. Yeah, just because it looks like that.
If you like something like this that looked like this,
I thought I had the game you're naming,
like it.
But what's that one?
Yeah, but similar, right?
It's similar. It's fun though. I asked that question because I was recently got Violet, my daughter. I was at Target and buying birthday gifts, and there was this like ice cream building game. It was just a small box for 4-year-olds and up, and the artwork looked just like basic. Nothing about it made me want to buy it, but my friends were like, their kids have it, and it's fun. It's literally just flipping cards, building an ice cream cone, and and it's disgusting ice cream. It's like chocolate with worms in it, or a green snail, like pistachio flavor. It's just all it is like you guess what's on the card. If you turn it over and you get one of the
fun and gross,
you just grab.
It's easy to pick up.
Easy. She learned to play it in like 5 minutes flat. We played it like 6 or 7 times today, and it's no stress, you know.
Right.
But but
a family member,
initially,
a parent is going to see that as a good value because it provided entertainment,
right?
and it's
Like
cost
we all
effective
played it, right?
because that's
Right.
what they have to be. They have to be within a certain price point to be in big box stores.
It was $15.
Trust me, I know. Yep.
Yep, you know.
Between 50 to 24 for all
Right.
of those. They'll go up as high as $29.99 for special circumstances in that family friendly category.
I mean, they didn't even change the cover too. So if you look at one of my favorite games is Betrayal at the House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
And the original cover has that spooky looking house.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, you look at it, it looks a little bit like Arkham Horror, and you're like, okay, that's going to be scary when we play it, you know? But the version they have at Target, they've redone the cover, and it's almost like, it's still got a house on it. It's just not as spooky looking as the original cover. And
because
in my head,
more people, they want to cast a wider net.
And in my head, I was literally like, they cleaned that up, you know?
Well, they also have the Scooby-Doo one, which...
Dude, I haven't seen that yet. My kid would make me... Wait, Scooby-Doo Betrayal?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I've got the Baldur's Gate one. That one's fun. If you like D&D.
Which I do. But anyway,
if you don't, it makes no sense.
If you're looking at mass market, I'm going to tell you no. All the time. If you're looking at more of a hobby game, then yeah, you want something impactful and pretty.
Yeah, because I've seen tons of games where I'm just like... Because I asked that question because I've, you know, just when you walk through Gen Con, for example, right? There's games that like capture your attention before you've even seen the actual game, right?
Yep.
The artwork looks good. Everything looks awesome about it. And then you actually play the game and you're like, this is not as fun as I thought it was going to be. Happens all the time.
Right. So you need that, but you also need that. So, well, shoot, my earrings, which are beetles. Here, I'll take it out.
Oh, nice.
For the camera. So the artist who created these did the art for Garden Guests, our game. So you are playing beetles, and all you're doing is trying to get from one side of the board to the other. It's a hexagon, so you can have 2 to 6 players and teams of 2 to 2 or 3.
Sure.
Like, so either partners or solo. And sorry, I'm just gonna put it back down. So it's an abstract game, but we decided to make it, you know, so you're putting your little tiny tokens across the board, and of course everybody else is also, so you're going to cut each other off. And there's the mechanics for putting it down are pretty basic. She made an entire board. She painted paper, cut out the paper, and made flowers so each individual petal, all the flowers are made from these paper cuts. All the beetles were made, and then high-res photos, and put it in. So we wanted something that looked beautiful and delicate and like the exact opposite of this super mean take that abstract game. We wanted that dichotomy of, but it's so pretty, but also I'm so mad at you and now I'm going to crush your beetles. Like that's the game.
Did she make those earrings for you?
Oh yeah. I have several. I have butterflies. I have beetles.
There's one board game I bought, or actually no, a friend got it for me, but I told him I was really interested in it, and it was just solely based off of like the box art itself, and I think it's called, oh, the name's escaping me right now, but it's called, I think, Impossible Machines. It's basically the Voight-Kampff test, the game.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a 2-player game, but like the way the boxes, I really love the box design of it, because the box design is also the board itself. Like you unfurl it and parts of the box become the game surface as well. But the way it's designed on the outside and stuff, and even the way it's designed on the inside, it's all looks very mechanical, and it looks like, you know, printed circuitry stuff on the outside and everything, and it's
that's a good.
I never do this. I never sit down and then get back up during a recording, but I have to, because I have to show you Final Girl now. Because
that was fine. Yeah.
Because of what you just said. So 1 second, I'm gonna mute myself so that I don't make a lot of noise for the recording.
So the box art thing you said is interesting because there's oh man, I can't remember what game it is. I own it. It's the box it came in. I think it's 5 Minute Dungeon is what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
5-minute dungeon. It comes in this box that's supposed to be an hourglass. Have you played 5-minute dungeon?
No, I have not.
Dude,
It's a great game.
It's a
That
great
is
game.
Really?
terrible box design.
I hate the box. That's exactly what I was saying. The box that it came in is designed to be an hourglass. It sucks. And pieces fly around in it. Nothing sits still in it. And every time
crushed in packaging,
yep.
the packaging gets crushed. They had to replace so many. It was a great in theory, not in actual practice.
Right. And every time I see that, every time we play that game, I'm like, who designed this fucking box?
So Final Girl is one of our Van Ryder's games.
Yep.
So you're playing a Final Girl in a horror movie.
I love it.
The core set is like all the common components that they all use. So the dice, the meeples, and then you buy films. Each film has a different 2 Final Girls, and then the killer, and a location. So this is Red Riding Hood and Gretel in the Storybook Woods with Big Bad Wolf, which I had out because it's the one I designed.
Nice.
But there's other ones. There's definitely more horror themed ones. But when you were talking about it, so this is the Storybook Woods side, and magnets.
Oh, perfect.
So
yeah.
Here's my cards for it, all my tokens or characters. Here's the woods, and then when I'm done,
exactly.
So that's a good design. If I want to use the Big Bad Wolf as the monster, same deal. So
wait, I think. Sweet.
So
see, yeah, I'm a huge sucker for that kind of packaging design.
And the cards for the Big Bad Wolf.
It's double-sided.
Yes, because if I want to play the wolf in a space station,
sure,
or
you could take it over into it,
right? Or the alien that goes from very tiny to very large, and put them in the Storybook Woods. I can mix and match.
That's
awesome. A good design, man. Yeah. See, good. There's games that have like that's a good design, and then like if I'm in Dungeon, not so good. I love the guys that worked on Gloom Haven, but their box design, I was like, you guys are trying to give me a heart attack with this.
You know what's funny?
Nothing goes back in the way it came out. You have to get those organizers.
So that's part of the production piece that, like, as opposed to the art of something can be amazing. Production was going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth of, I have this idea. No, the magnets have to be stronger. If you can't make the magnet stronger, there's no point in doing this because I can't have it falling apart once people put it together, you know. And how do we do it so that each side has its, you know, making sure that it's got that, how deep does it have to be to fit everything? And if people get the miniatures and want to just put them in the box, we're going to make sure it's deep enough for that, even if the cards only need a skinnier thing. Doesn't matter. We need it to be, but also I want it to be about the size of a VCR box because
it's like the old school.
Also feels that way. Yeah.
Right. Like all of that is very intentional. And then of course for this, each one is a different artist so that each film looks like a different film with a different style. I really love the one that we're doing, and you know, this is an ongoing. So the ones that are coming out next, there's one that's supposed to be more of an 80s film and everything's neon pink. And
sweet.
Different artists.
That's Allen's.
Like, yeah.
Do you need an artist for that? No, I'm just kidding.
It's funny because I was just reading an article earlier today about like early 90s PC game box art and box design. And it was showcasing one particular designer and like just this wild box designs that he did. And it was more fascinating because it was like, yeah, like, man, I remember when specifically like PC game boxes were just really off the wall, kind of weird. Like one example they had was like a Prince of Persia box. I think it was for like a re-release not from the Commodore. It was like for like Windows 95 or something like that, or Windows NE. But yeah, it was like the 5-minute dungeon thing is what reminded me of it because it also had a slight hourglass design to it.
Hate it.
Yeah, you remember which one I'm talking about?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
because he's got the sands of time, man. Or
it
some
was
bullshit.
there's a lot, but there was a lot of really good in this little like showcase they had. There's like really interesting boxes. Like one of them was also for I think this game called Havoc, and instead of a box, they did this whole crazy thing where they were like, okay, instead let's make it out of the same biodegradable paper pulp stuff that egg cartons are made out of. And it's going to be
Why?
this weird craggy. It was just to make it different, so it stood out
Sure.
against the shelf and everything. And it was like, also I think because it was the way they designed it, it looked kind of like an ancient idol kind of thing, and the texture of that egg carton material made it look like craggy rock.
Before it
Sure.
was
Kind of
put
deal.
in a crate and then put on a freight ship
Right.
over
We're
the
just
ocean
moving
with
around.
damp,
Yes.
non, temperature controlled conditions, and then put into a warehouse, which very likely also had no kind of
Yes.
climate control going on,
Here,
and then shows up to you as soup.
here was the
God.
interesting thing though was
Just seeps out when they open the crate.
in that particular instance, they kind of knew ahead of time. There was like, we don't know exactly how well this will ship, or whether or not like distributors are going to like throw a bitch fit once they get it. So they actually designed it so it had like a window on the inside that held basically a smaller box that had the game and the manual in that. And if the distributor wanted to, they could just take that out and put that on the shelf and throw the rest away.
That's just a waste.
It's still like an
So it was
interesting
a
design.
gimmick.
Yes.
And okay, but
But it was very,
Well, if it's
very
bio-
gimmicky. It was interesting gimmick kind of thing, but yeah.
it's an interesting gimmick, but it's also one like I can see I don't know how long ago it came out. Now
This
it would
was
get
like
blowback.
this was like 92, 95, thereabouts.
Correct. All right, so then it would be great. Now it would get blowback for the amount of waste it was creating.
Yeah,
Pretty
exactly.
much. I mean, what's wrong with the standard box design, man? I mean, whatever. When I was asking the question about artwork on the box art, it reminded me of, you said Monopoly earlier, and that reminded me like all those, what are those? Hasbro made all those games back in the day, right? Or Mattel?
Parker Brothers.
Parker Brothers, yeah. They were just like whatever, like none of those. Milton Bradley, yeah. And none of those games really caught my attention, but I still remember the first time I saw Hero.
I think it was Parker Brothers in the UK, but
I think does Hasbro own that now? Like
Hasbro owns it now.
Bradley?
That's why I said that. Yeah, but I still remember the first time I saw Hero Quest sitting on the shelf, thinking that. So that was my first time seeing a.
But of course, they bought it out from the op.
Who bought that? Who bought Hero Quest?
No, Monopoly. Sorry, I was.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll stop.
No, it's fine.
I know entirely too much about the history of Monopoly, and I will stop now and let you continue.
I hate Monopoly, but yeah, that was like
we
the
should
first
all
time.
be so lucky to have made in Monopoly because that would be great. So love it or hate it, it's the most represented game in the United States.
I get it. Everybody wants to play it. I just never liked it. Played with my cousins. They were too good at it, and I hated it.
You had to implement the strategy that makes no one ever want to play with you ever again, which is buy all the houses, but never upgrade any of your lots to hotels, therefore causing a housing shortage supply, which then forces everyone else to pay you, and then also grinds the game to a halt.
See, this is the kind of guy I don't want to play with.
Well, this is my strategy. If someone suggests Monopoly, I'm like,
so that's a strategy, but also do you percentile wise, which of these spots are the most likely statistically to land on? It's the corner around jail.
Mm-hmm.
So all those cheap basically tenement housing.
Yeah, you don't need Park Place and all that fancy shit.
You absolutely don't. It's like one of the worst.
Past
that
it's exactly how we all go through the rich part of town.
First row, just get that in first tire row.
Yeah, we don't even stop. We don't even stop in the rich areas, guys.
But sometimes when Robert and I are in a mood, Robert being my husband, who is the president of Arcane Wonders, another board game publisher, we will be at shows late night. And if we're bored, we will pull out a Monopoly and start playing it just to see how many people freak out about it.
I would just walk away from you. I'd be like, "I'll see you tomorrow, Julie." It's been a fun night. Like, I think, what game were you playing now? I think one time you caught me when I was playing Root at the Hyatt Bar. Is that the one that's at the Origins? By the way, let me put it this way. I played Root about 3 times now in my entire life. I own it.
Okay.
And every time I've never been sober, which is it's not good.
I think that's the beauty of Root, though. You don't.
Well, I was drinking the first
You
time.
can figure it out.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't drink anymore. So the second time was high. We played it New Year's, and my friends were trying to read me the rules, and I couldn't stay focused. But then I took a nap, which I was wanting to do because I was like, I'm going to end New Year's early if I don't sit down and nap for a second. Came back 30 minutes later and almost won the game because my brain just started
absorbed everything.
It didn't absorb shit, man. I just started remembering how to play. Like I told him, I was like, we can't play the what is he, fox or a raccoon, the vagabond. Like he's OP, right? So I'm like, let's just keep him out of this for now because there's only 3 of us playing. But I remember when I played it the first time, that character is vicious, but that game is fun as fuck. I mean, those guys got a couple awards for that, I think. I'm like, but I remember those are the kind of games like I like to play at the bars because you're just like everyone's having a good time. It's like goofy, nobody knows what the hell's happening. But if like somebody were to pull out Scythe or like 7 Wonders while everyone's drinking, I'd be like, bro, this is gonna take a minute. If somebody pulls out Monopoly, I'm definitely just will leave. I'm leaving, like mainly because I have childhood trauma from it.
I mean, that's fair. So Root is a go-to for
Root
you
is not.
late night.
If we were gonna play a late night game, I want to play King of Tokyo. That's my favorite.
That's a great one. That is a great one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a good
King
answer.
of Tokyo's my friends here will play. My one friend hates it so much. If he's playing with us, we don't get to play it because he's such a curmudgeon about it.
I played it almost a year ago. The last time I was because Tennessee Game Days.
Did I send you that photo?
No.
So like last time I played it at New Year's, I rolled. There's a power move. You can get like 9 or 12 victory points by rolling one of everything on 6 in a row.
Yep.
I rolled and all 6 came up, and I was like, my friends were like, "That's never happening again."
Amazing.
And it happened again when it was my turn. And I sent it to Daryl. I was like, Daryl. Like, this is
last year about this time, Tennessee Game Days, which is
what is Tennessee Game Days and why haven't
you invited me to it? It's a small convention right outside of Nashville, and since Van Ryder Games is based right outside Nashville, so it's their local. I live in Indianapolis now, so
I can drive there. It only takes me like 3 hours. Just saying.
He's so salty.
That's fair.
So I went and I had gotten there late, so my whole team was playing a game, and I was like, well, what do I do? And this 7-year-old was like, I'll play a game with you, and crushed me at King of Tokyo.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, you can't beat kids at games.
Like, eviscerated. No, I was trying to win. He crushed me. It was not pretty.
He's like, I've been waiting all day for this.
Yes. It was one of his favorite games. And he was like, this is one of my favorite games. And I was like, aren't you cute? And then 30 minutes later, I was like, nope, totally is one of your favorite games. Got it.
That's like, whenever somebody's like, so like I told you, Gerald and I were talking about making some games when he asked me for examples of what games I like. It was Betrayal at the House of Haunted Hill and King of Tokyo were my top 2. And I played this game recently called Here to Slay by T-Turtle, I think.
Yep.
That game is fun as fuck. I'm sorry. And it's like a little just card game you can carry around. So those 3, like right now, are my favorites. And, my friends like to play more serious games because they're all engineers and they want some challenges, I guess. But whenever they bust out those games, I'm just like, I know for a fact I'm going to struggle to try to win. So in my head, I'm like, just try to have a good time.
That should be all it's about. So if
we played 7 Wonders, and I got close. I got so close to winning with military.
Games. Right. I enjoy heavy games, but
I don't like games like Scythe because you make like 2 wrong moves, you lost.
Worker placement, yeah.
Like
1 wrong move, you stand a chance. 2 wrong moves, you're just like, I'm done.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about that.
Say it.
No.
I suck at them. I get it. Trust me.
But if we're going to talk about a Stonemaier game, Wormspan just came out and it's great.
I don't think I've even heard of Wormspan.
So Wingspan is the one with the birds.
Oh yeah, I know Wingspan.
Wormspan.
You just have these games just like sitting here.
Oh, I just finished playing it. You're a
Oh shit, with dragons or worms?
Oh,
with dragons. It's
I'm a
great.
dumbass and thought it was going to be about earthworms.
I did
really
too.
did.
I was like, I don't want to play a game about earthworms.
So yeah, so it's an engine builder is basically what you would describe it as. And by building an engine, I'm talking about you're putting down cards to excavate caves. Then you are playing it's going to let you kind of gather some materials. Then you're using those materials to entice the dragons into those spots in the caves. But it has to be good habitat for them, so you have to have cards that match the caves that they're in. Interesting. Then you're taking your little explorer and you can explore throughout the cave, and as you go through it, you're getting all the stuff. So you get little bits of stuff by excavating. You get more stuff once you get the dragons, and then you run your explorer, literally probably running, going, no, run your explorer through the whole cave, and that's the engine. The more stuff you put down, the better your loot grab as you build that engine of the other cards. So that's all it is. And Wingspan with the birds does a similar thing, but not so focused on that pure engine building, which is what this is, but with dragons, and they're great. They're so good. Everyone has its own little like almost like the birds, like a little write up. Mm-hmm. Like it's, and you can imagine it like, here we see the red crested peregrine dragon. Like its namesake in the hawk, it looks very similar in flight. However, the bird, like you can hear, like,
right. The David Attenborough voice,
right?
That's it, Attenborough. Yeah.
It's so anyway.
I'll have to look into that.
And I won't say that's the heaviest of what I play, but that is definitely King.
It's not like
steps higher than King of Tokyo, but I'm down for this most of the time. That being said, I will take any trick taker, especially once it gets later in the evening. So you would just want to play a deck of cards, and we're playing like just a card game. I'm good, but also things like Cat Lady.
I played it.
Cat Lady.
I like the name of it, but I've never played it.
Do you throw cats at people?
You do a 3x3 grid of cards,
okay,
and you either collect horizontal or vertical. So you're grabbing 3 cards every time, except for where the last player just placed, so that you can't take all 3 of the brand new cards that just came out. If that makes sense. Somebody grabs cards, they put a little cat token there to let you know.
Right.
Not this row. They put up 3 new cards. So you're grabbing 3. And then you're set collecting with them. So you're either putting down cats, you're collecting the food to feed those cats so they don't give you negative points because they have to be fed for them to be your cats and gain you points. And then there are the cat toys cards, which have one set of like right on them, like as you collect the different ones, if you for every unique one you get a certain amount of points and it escalates. Catnip, costumes. So it's almost like different suits, and they collect points in different ways. That's all it is each one is like a different suit, and as you collect them, they give you points in different ways. And at the end, you count the points once the deck runs out. There's not a lot of deep thought. It is one of my favorite games of all time. I will play that forever.
Cat Lady.
I'll play it forever, and you don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about it while you play.
I'm gonna write it down. We'll see if I play it.
We'll play it. We're playing it at Origins.
Okay.
There you go.
Yep. So like that's one, and Mountain Goats. Basically, I like the dumb animal themed ones.
I haven't played, like most of them, like most of the games I play these days are all recommendations. I used to, for a while when I was working Gen Con or Origins or something, I'd always just trade art for games, and people just ask. Yeah. And then lately, it's just not happening as much, so I have to really know what I want before I walk over and be like, "Do you guys want to trade?" That's how I got King of Tokyo, man. I was like, "What is this?" And they're like, "You're kaiju fighting other kaiju." I'm like, "Let's go." Like that's all you have to say. I'm in. I've gotten some games where I'm just like, this is just a weird game. So
I've realized, like, I think most of the games I really, really like have like an element of like social deduction or and just social engineering to them. Like
Yeah.
Cosmic Encounter and Whitehall Mysteries, I think, are the top two for me at the moment.
Nice.
I
Still,
was thinking of what the hell's that game called? Twilight Imperium?
yes.
Dude, so do you know Ross Thompson? You know Ross Thompson, Julie.
I
Like
do,
he's
yes.
in there. So he was talking about he was on our show two episodes ago, and he was talking about how he's gonna play like an all day. I think it was like a weekend session. He literally flew.
It's long. Yeah, it's a
He
very
flew
long.
out to wherever this game was happening. His friends and they have like elaborate models for the game and stuff. I mean, they're serious. He's got like a tattoo.
So Will Sobel does that.
I've never played this game. It
Will
sounds
does
too
it for his
stressful.
birthday. His birthday present every year is play. If you will take the time to play one of the games of Twilight Imperium with him, he will play 5. He'll try for 5, 3 to 5 games of it over his birthday weekend.
Damn.
Oh wow.
So he has a spreadsheet. So leading it, are you in or out? And
Right.
if you say you're in, don't if you don't want to do it, say no. But if you're in, like
you're in for the long haul. Yeah.
You better have hacked off a limb if you back out. So say and then there is a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet has pick your top 3 factions. Here's a link to explain all the factions. Here's a link to watch how to play. If you don't know how to play, or if you don't remember and need a refresher, which you do, it's involved.
Right.
Go educate yourself. We're not doing a teach day of.
Right. Know how to play.
Just say no. Go back to the previous say no if you want to be no. So, and then you pick your top 3 factions, and then there's a couple days before he's like, okay, here's your factions. Here's the one of your top 3 that we've selected. Be ready to play when we get there. And you just sit down and we go. And even with that, where you're just like, sit down, start, no easing into it. It was like 5 hours.
Jesus.
And we were focused. So yes, Twilight Imperium, I will play. It's literally my birthday present to Will.
I definitely have
That's
no
his birthday
interest in
present.
playing that one.
No, you do not.
It just
I
seems
love
too
it.
much.
I could do it once a year.
Yeah. When Ross was describing it to me, I was like, you have fun, man. It's your thing.
Right.
Okay, so we're a little over time, so I'm going to move us to the next part of the last part of the show, which is our little show and tell portion.
Yeah.
You can go last, Julie, if you want, or you can go first if you have something.
I'll go last because I'm going to.
Do you want to go first, Andrew, or do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Sure.
Okay, I'll give you a pick, only because I don't remember I shared this or not. I could go off of the dinosaur talk from last time.
Sure.
Or I could do something else. Okay, I'll try this then. So, have I shared this before? I can't remember.
No.
Okay, perfect. Yay, that means I have something in the pocket for the future. This is Sorry?
You're building a statue?
No. This is a death cast from an emu foot.
Oh, okay.
But I got it because it's basically like perfect dinosaur reference.
Yes.
And I got this a while ago, but I never shared it. But yeah, like this is like you look at this thing, it's like, oh yeah, that's a fucking dinosaur.
Right. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is it's an emu foot. There's also the same person that sells this also sells I think cassowary feet as well. As I think there's another bird that he also did. Ostrich and cassowary. Cassowaries are interesting because like this nail is basically like that. It's like just a giant long.
It's a claw
pipe. Yeah, a claw would be a very generous term. It's basically like a long stiletto knife on their foot that they just like they just walk around with, and they disembowel people with if
yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, a lot of tourists get killed by cassowaries in New Zealand when they get
Bad
too.
because they're dumb and they get too close, right?
Yeah, and cassowaries don't like to be messed with. They're just like, leave me alone. I don't want to deal with you, and then they kick
I'm
you.
not your pet.
Yeah, exactly.
I have
So yeah,
no remorse for people who do stupid things like that.
yeah, I know. But yeah, no, this is I got this a while ago, but I the casting on this is so beautiful, and
For a second, I
love.
thought you're gonna build a giant dino out of all that.
No, I do know a couple of people that have done that. One person I know, Shane Folks, he actually does it as his job. He works for Lost World Studios. They make full life-size sculptures for like museums and outdoor events and stuff
That's so
of
cool.
dinosaurs.
I wonder if he did
Yeah.
the ones at Brookfield Zoo here for a while. Had these giant dinosaurs.
Yeah,
So,
they did.
They're just
There
gone now,
are-
and I'm just like, who moved them and how did they move them?
So there are
Where did they go? And
two-
can I have one?
Yeah, so there are two main companies in the US that do that kind of thing. They're like, if it's like looks realistic and like scientific
This is
accurate,
pretty
it really
realistic
comes,
looking.
it comes down to basically like two companies. One of them is Lost World, or Lost World Studios, I believe is the name, which is where Shane Folks works at. And they tend to do, I think they tend to do more temporary installations where it's like, hey, like, for example, like we have a garden, a city garden that's here, and for like a month they had a dinosaur exhibit in their gardens, and that was like their temporary main attraction exhibit thing. The other one is their studio is called Blue Rhino Studios, and they mainly deal in creating permanent installations for museums and zoos of like mainly prehistoric animals, like anywhere from dinosaurs to woolly mammoths or cave bears or whatever, or Neanderthals kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's mainly those two studios, and they're both weirdly based in your guys' area, like Minnesota, Indianapolis, Chicago area.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
the ones
I have
that were
no
in
idea
Brookfield
why.
were like massive, and then
Field
one day they're
trip.
just gone. I don't know. I think the ones that were in Brookfield got donated to another zoo, but
They might be on rotation. That might
yeah.
be one of the
they were
Lost World
massive
ones.
though. I was just like, why would you take those down? Like, but whatever. So what I have is, I was trying to figure out something cool to get for Valentine's Day, for not only Nancy but also something to give to Violet. And these ads kept coming up on my Instagram, so I invested in a couple of them. But it's basically like a crochet set.
Oh, neat.
So it's called Wobbles or Wobbles. I don't know how you want to pronounce that, but basically it comes with, this bag has everything you need to make this little fox.
Oh, nice.
And it's got like a starter piece. I don't know how to crochet, in case anyone's wondering. But like, it basically comes with the needle, it comes with the yarn, it comes with the hook, and it comes with a starter piece. And then there's a video you can watch. And supposedly,
Wait, comes with the starter piece, so you don't have to cast that first little circle?
There's a pre-started piece. It's one of the, here's everything. It comes with
brilliant.
all this stuff, right? So basically, you just watch the video, and when you're done, you'll have this little dude. I've got like a little penguin. And after I bought them,
that.
I've got they came, so for $100, it wasn't too much. I got 4. I got a little rabbit. Boop.
That's amazing.
And a little chickadee. But it's everything you need is in this bag. I haven't opened these yet because we're not. But the idea was we'd sit down and kind of help Violet through it first, and then go from there. I don't know if she can do it. We'll find out. She's but it says time to complete 3 to 8 hours. So I guess it depends on how quick you are or how slow you are at it. But you know, I've never crocheted shit in my life. So I thought, let's give it a whirl. I'm either gonna hate it or I'll be indifferent about it. But for $100. But then now they have a dragon because it's the year of the dragon. And I was like, damn it.
Oh.
I would have gotten the dragon if that was out first. I'm not gonna buy more unless this is a success. Because I figure also when it's done, these are just little crocheted dolls that the girls can have, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I might keep my fox as an accomplishment, but we'll see. That's what I've got. I told you it's gonna be something totally wild and different. Cause I usually talk about books or music or something. So this is like they're just sitting here. We'll see. You got to watch the video though, and the videos is the important part. Yeah, step-by-step videos, pre-started piece, 4mm crochet hook, online instructions, yarn needle, plastic eye, stuffing, and yarn. So, Felix the Fox. And there's so that one's, all 4 of those are for beginners, it says. So there's a beginners, moderate, and then grandma level, I guess, the professionals. So, but that's it. That's what I've got. So that's Julie, awesome. If you got something.
So I just grabbed really quick, although I've already now done a show and tell
of other board games.
That usually happens.
But what we've been working on, because we have a Kickstarter coming up March, I want to say 19th. Is that right?
I can post about it in this video if
March
you want.
19th. We have a Kickstarter for our graphic novel adventures for the next set of them. And so, like I said, I started off in this industry as the zombie girl, and it's coming back around.
Oh, nice. I love that book cover design.
Yeah, so the graphic novels are the books that you basically, for each one, you have these images that have numbers in them, and then you go to the matching panel number. So you're running around. So this one, you can either choose to play as a zombie or as a human.
So is it like a choose your own adventure kind of thing?
That's what I was
gonna ask. Well, because
legally distinct.
Legally distinct. But specifically, yes, it has that feel. So you play it, and I mean, this one's pretty, like, from the very beginning. You pick, I'm going to be a zombie, I'm going to be Ben the zombie, or I'm going to be, I think it's June, the human. But the object of both of them is to get out of the city, which is on. Soldiers have shown up and are trying to keep it contained. Right. So you are trying to get out as a human before you get bit and convince them, no, in fact, I have not been bit. And as a zombie, you're trying to get out so that you can, go eat delicious brains elsewhere.
Right.
So when you're playing, there's a lot of, speech bubbles and thought bubbles, but there's also all these numbers to follow through. And then a lot of them are sometimes hidden on the page, and you can find little sneaky moments where you find characters. And of course, if you find characters that are hidden, if you're the human, you have this conversation, and maybe they help you, maybe they don't. If you're a zombie, maybe you try to nom them, maybe you don't. For that particular one, but we have a bunch of them. So there's Sherlock Holmes, one where you either play as Sherlock or Watson, and that's more of an easy mode, hard mode. So Watson's a little bit easier. He gets a little help while he's trying to work things out, and Sherlock's the hard mode. So you're trying to solve case for those, and we have. They're all kind of dark. We had another one, so that was the zombie apocalypse. We have a robot apocalypse one too. This whole series was they were like, let's just give Julie all the really dark, super. You're good with that, right? And I am.
Yeah.
So yes, that is what I've been doing with my life. So as the person who is the project manager for it, there are no surprises. I am like the string theory guy. I literally follow everything so that I can make sure it all works. Because there's also puzzles. You have to find puzzles and I have to make sure that they are solvable and make sense. But also, I have an Excel spreadsheet for every single book that's like that explains, like, this is on this page, and this is on this page, and this is on this page, so that you can solve it. So that when somebody says, no, they messed up, it wasn't edited properly, it's wrong, I can be like, well, on panel 17, if you will find this, which will lead you to panel 63.
You dumbass. You know.
Exactly. Oh, God. Something like that must be incredibly daunting to design.
It's like folklore. So designing folklore, I think that once you get in the like when you do a
Seems
crossword
like what you
puzzle, if
do, I
you've done a
think.
Right.
crossword puzzle, like the first one is like it's so hard, and the second one is so hard. But after a while, like the people who do the New York Times Sunday crossword puzzle know all the words that are like the common words and the common
Hmm.
clues, and it isn't as daunting at that point. After working on folklore, multiple paths and then having them converge or move over here and everything, it's just like I will never write the great American novel. My brain cannot sustain one thought through a plot line for hundreds and hundreds of pages. But I can think of the same variant on a plotline theme 15 ways and think about them simultaneously now. And that is my skill set, and that's what I can do.
It's more than some people can do, man.
That being
All
said,
right.
I project managed. I didn't actually write these. These are localized actually from France. So
Oh,
I just have to make sure they all make sense or nothing is lost in translation, as it were.
gotcha.
That sounds cool, man.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you for being on.
And if you want to send me links to the Kickstarter and your podcast after this, I'll put them at the bottom of the video.
Oh, for sure.
So then
I can do that.
find you.
I have those tools.
Yes. And probably would like to have you back. We can talk about other things. Obviously, we can talk about D&D next time because we all play it, and talk about.
Sure do.
Hopefully, my RPG is done by then. We'll see. So
it's funny. You were like at the castle. Did you play D&D? I did not. I played Heckin' Good Doggos at the castle, which was a bizarre disconnect. It was super fun, but
not the thing you should have done. Maybe.
Well, we play. I mean, I play D&D every week, so it was okay. Like I was excited to do something different.
Shit, I wish I could play every week. Cool. All right. Well, our guests next time, it's either gonna be Sterling Hunley or Kirby Fagan, whoever has a more open schedule. And then we'll go from there. So let me take us offline. As always, thanks for everyone who's watching and keeping the show alive. Let's see.